All right, welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in, shall we? You might look at this and just see a standard Boeing 747, but trust me, it is so much more than just an airplane. What we're actually looking at today is essentially a 6-story high, virtually indestructible flying command center. It is specifically designed to keep the President of the United States safe and fully operational under the most extreme conditions imaginable. Today, we're going to decode the fascinating engineering and the intense secrecy behind this legendary aircraft.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the origin story, then peel back the armor on this flying nuclear bunker, step inside the airborne White House, and finally, dive into some top-secret fleet operations.
All right, part 1, the origin story.
So, why exactly is it called Air Force One? It's a name we all instantly recognize across the globe, right? But the origin of this call sign actually stems from a nearly disastrous historical mix-up that exposed a completely massive security loophole.
Get this. Prior to 1954, presidential aircraft just use standard flight call signs like anybody else. But then, in 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower was flying to North Carolina on a plane named Columbine 2, using the call sign Air Force 8610. Well, suddenly, air traffic control goes into an absolute panic. Why? Because another plane, a commercial passenger jet of the exact same model using the exact same 8610 call sign, entered the very same airspace. Radar controllers were literally looking at two identical blips and couldn't tell which one held the President of the United States. Thankfully, he landed safely, but the Air Force realized this was a catastrophic security flaw. So, from that day onward, no matter what specific aircraft the President is on, the second they step aboard, that plane's call sign automatically becomes Air Force One, a real game changer.
Now, what does it actually take to operate a machine born out of that level of security panic? Well, it costs a staggering $220,000 per hour just to fly this plane. Let that sink in. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 17 crore rupees every 60 minutes. That insane price tag really sets the stakes for us today. We've got to ask, what on earth goes into this machine to make it so breathtakingly expensive?
Which brings us to part 2. A flying nuclear bunker.
That unbelievable cost starts making total sense when you realize Air Force One is literally built to survive the radiation of a nuclear blast. Seriously, the entire aircraft is cloaked in heavy, reinforced armor. It features EMP resistance, meaning an electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear detonation won't just fry its electronics like it would a normal plane. Every single window, thick bulletproof glass. And on top of all that, it boasts state-of-the-art radar jamming technology that can blind enemy radars from thousands of miles away, while being completely shielded by dedicated anti-missile and anti-hacking systems. It is an absolute fortress.
Let's actually contrast this with a standard commercial flight, just so the sheer scale of this operational security can really hit home. So a commercial airliner usually cruises around 36,000 feet. Air Force One flies way higher, up at 45,100 feet, specifically to stay out of harm's way. And while commercial airlines are always aiming for the shortest path to save fuel and maximize profits, Air Force One's pilots intentionally route the plane to avoid other air traffic at all costs. And this is key. While commercial planes get serviced by all sorts of third-party companies at various airports, Air Force One is strictly, and I mean strictly, maintained by an exclusive military team over at Andrews Air Force Base.
And this total obsession with eliminating third-party risks, it totally extends to the tarmac too. The plane features 100% self-sufficient boarding. When Air Force One lands, whether it's domestic or somewhere across the globe, they do not wait around for local ground crews to bring over a staircase or a luggage belt. No way. The plane has its own built-in automatic staircase that deploys instantly, plus a proprietary baggage conveyor belt. Literally no outside luggage handlers or local airport operators are ever allowed anywhere near this aircraft.
All right, let's step inside. Part 3, inside the White House. Now, first and foremost on board is the president's health. I mean, if the president suffers a medical crisis mid-flight, landing and rushing to a civilian hospital is way too big of a security risk. So, they literally just brought the hospital on board. The plane has a fully stocked pharmacy, a complete operating theater with actual surgical lights, and life-saving equipment like electric shock devices for cardiac arrest, IV pumps, ventilators, you name it. Top-tier military doctors and nurses travel with the president on every single flight, completely ready to perform life-saving surgery at 45,000 feet. And to act as a true mobile command center, this aircraft features a massive 85 secure telephone lines. 85! Alongside dozens of TV screens and ultra-high-speed internet, this ensures the president can conduct highly classified video conferences and issue global military commands instantly. And we're talking zero drop in communication quality, literally no matter where they are flying in the world.
Of course, the people on board need to eat, right? But this is a far cry from your typical limited airline menu. Air Force One houses 2 custom kitchens packed with stoves, microwaves, and special exhaust systems, and they can cook fresh meals for up to 100 people at a time. The chefs can whip up pretty much whatever the president is craving. But here's an incredibly fascinating security secret for you. To prevent poisoning or any kind of tampering, the culinary team is strictly forbidden from purchasing any groceries outside of the United States. All the food is sourced domestically and brought onto the plane before they ever leave.
Okay, time to zoom out a bit. Part 4. Top Secret Fleet Operations. When it comes to fleet operations, the absolute crucial point is endurance. Think about it. A standard commercial plane, even fully fueled, is generally capped at about 16 hours of non-stop flight before it absolutely has to land. Air Force One? It has a theoretical flight limit of forever. Seriously. Through mid-air refueling, a specialized Air Force tanker jet basically matches the speed and altitude of Air Force One and extends a fuel nozzle directly into the plane's nose. This wild maneuver means that during a global crisis, the president could just remain airborne for days on end, with ever becoming a vulnerable target on the ground.
But here's the thing. Air Force One doesn't travel alone. It's actually shadowed by a truly imposing aircraft called the E-4B Nightwatch, often referred to as the Doomsday Plane. This is a heavily armed military command aircraft packed with advanced anti-nuclear systems and surface-to-air missile defenses. If the absolute worst happens and a nuclear war breaks out while the president is flying and all ground communications are completely wiped out, the E-4B Nightwatch instantly takes over as the central hub for all U.S. military operations. It is basically a flying military headquarters backing up the president.
So, we've seen the heavy armor, the flying medical bays, the doomsday escort planes, but that actually brings us to one final thrilling mystery. Which plane does the president actually fly in?
The answer is actually a massive plot twist. There isn't just one Air Force One. There are actually 2 perfectly identical Boeing 747s. Inside and out, they are completely indistinguishable. Now sure, this provides a reliable backup if one needs maintenance, but the primary reason: ultimate security. On travel days, both planes are fully prepped on the tarmac. And incredibly, even top Air Force officials often do not know which of the 2 planes the president is actually going to step onto until the very last moment. It makes it nearly impossible for an adversary to target the commander-in-chief.
So as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. Is Air Force One the ultimate symbol of global power? We've just uncovered a flying fortress that commands a $220,000 hourly budget, can literally survive a nuclear blast, operates completely independent of local ground crews, and requires a decoy plane just to keep its most important passenger hidden. It's honestly an absolute masterpiece of engineering and secrecy. Thank you so much for joining me to decode this incredible machine today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.